Well, good morning. Today is Monday the 27th of July, and today we are in Mark's Gospel, chapter 15. Look at verse 1 through 15 this morning. It says, immediately in the morning, the chief priests held a consultation with the elders and scribes and the whole council, the Sanhedrin. And they bound Jesus, led him away, and delivered him to Pilate. Then Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" He answered and said to him, "It is as you say." And the chief priests accused him of many things, but he answered nothing. Then Pilate asked him again, saying, "Do you answer nothing? See how many things they testify against you." But Jesus still answered nothing, so that Pilate marveled. Now at the feast he was accustomed to releasing one prisoner to them, whomever they requested. And there was one named Barabbas, who was chained with his fellow rebels. They had committed murder in the rebellion. Then the multitude, crying aloud, began to ask him to do just as he had always done for them. But Pilate answered them, saying, "Do you want me to release to you the king of the Jews?" For he knew that the chief priests had handed him over because of envy. But the chief priest stirred up the crowd, so that he should rather release Barabbas to them. Pilate answered and said to them again, "What do you want me to do with him, whom you call the king of the Jews?" So they cried out again, "Crucify him!" Then Pilate said to them, "Why? What evil has he done?" But they cried out all the more, "Crucify him!" So Pilate, wanting to gratify the crowd, released Barabbas to them, and he delivered Jesus, after he had scourged him, to be crucified. You have to understand the timing of all this. This is Friday morning. This is early Friday morning. And Jesus has been up all night. They had the Passover feast. He was in the Garden of Gethsemane after midnight, probably, when the guards came and arrested him when he was betrayed by Judas. And here, he's already been judged by the Sanhedrin and brought to Pilate, and it's still early in the morning. I mean, this is it's hard for us to even fathom the miscarriage of justice, or just how corrupt this whole thing was. There is just no precedent in our way of thinking of this, and yet it was all part of God's time, all part of God's timing, that he would be crucified on Friday, in the grave on Friday, in the grave on Saturday, and raised early the third day. So the narrative's fairly clear. Pilate, Jesus heard all these accusations against him, never said a word. And that's what we have to understand, is that when we read the Old Testament prophecy about Jesus, and I'm going to turn back to Isaiah 53, because hundreds and hundreds of years before the crucifixion, it was foretold exactly how it was going to go down. Let me see here. Who has believed our report? This is Isaiah 53, verse 1. And to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of dry ground. He has no form or comeliness, no, that we should see him when we see him, and there's no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we did not esteem him. And I want to skip down to verse 7. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He was led as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before his shearers is silent, so he opened not his mouth. All this was foretold. Everything that's going down was foretold. It wasn't just some tragic fate. It was God's plan. So what do we glean from this, and how do we apply it to our life? I mean, that's the question. When we read about the crucifixion of Jesus, we read the account of his trial and false accusations. They hired people to lie about him. I mean, the whole thing was rigged from the beginning, and it was all because they were envy. Even the pagan ruler Pilate could see right through to their motive. I mean, in the other gospel accounts, he washed his hands. He said, I'm innocent of the blood of this innocent man. I find no fault in him. As we think about this account, what comes to your mind? You know, I think about his suffering. I think about the price that he paid, the cup that he referred to in the garden, the cup that he said, if it be possible, take this cup from me, nevertheless thy will, not my will, but thy will be done. When I think about what that cup was, it was the wrath of God poured out on sin, because sin must be punished, because God is, not only is he merciful, not only is he forgiving, but he's just, and he must punish sin. And what did he do? He poured out his wrath on sin by placing it on his own son, in my place, in your place. And so we have to ask ourselves, how should we respond? We respond, the proper response is to humbly ask for his forgiveness, to humbly, with heartfelt gratitude, thank him for taking our place on the cross, for dying in our place, for taking our punishment. As I referred to Isaiah 53, it says, "For he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed." It was all because he was willing to suffer and bleed and die in our place that we have hope at all of eternal life. That's why he's worthy of our worship. He's worthy of our praise, our adoration. That's why he's absolutely right to demand our love. It's reasonable. The greatest thing we can do is love him. And if we love him, our desire will be to do what's pleasing to him. A life of obedience, a life of love for God and a love for our neighbor. I don't think there's more that can be added. It's just a matter of whether or not we are willing to act and live a life that's pleasing to him. Pray you have a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow.